You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Bangtan universe. So today I'll be summarizing the Bangtan universe. Remember that this is just a storyline and not real-life events. This was all created by Big Hit themselves. All this information was gathered from the notes, Save Me Webtoon, music videos, and clips. Let's start at the beginning where the boys first met. March 2nd, year 19. The boys were late for school, and as punishment, they were all sent to clean a storage room. Through this event, they all became close friends and made this storage classroom their own hideout. They began to create a lot of happy moments together. June 12, year 19. All the boys decided to ditch school to go to the beach, and while they were at the beach, Hosuk suggested to visit a rock that was 3.5 kilometers away. They got to the location only to realize that the rock was no longer there. It was under construction for a seawall. But then they began to yell out their dreams over the loud sounds of the drill. This was when they took the first Polaroid picture at the beach. As time went on, their own hardships began to tear them apart. On May, year 20, Namjoon decided to move to the countryside with his brother, mother, and ill father. He was about to write a letter to the boys, but instead, he fogged up the window in their hideout and wrote, "We must survive." And then Namjoon left without saying anything to the boys. Namjoon has always lived in poverty. Him and his family would struggle to come up with money for his father's hospital bills. He did his best to earn money from doing a bunch of part-time jobs. The boys always looked up to him because of how responsible he was, but he felt the pressure. Taehyung looked up to Namjoon a lot. When he was young, his mother left him and his older sister behind. Both him and his sister grew up getting abused by their alcoholic father. Since Taehyung doesn't open up about his feelings and hardships, the boys don't know what he's going through. June 11, year 20. Seokjin was forced by the principal to reveal their hideout. The principal threatened to tell Seokjin's father about how he was a bad student. A teacher walked into their hideout while Jungkook and Yoongi were playing the piano. The teacher came up and slapped Jungkook. Yoongi became defensive and pushed the teacher. He ended up getting expelled from school, and Jungkook blames himself for what happened. Seokjin lived in a wealthy family. When his mother passed away, his father sent him to the US to live with his grandmothers. His father has always been strict and cold towards him. Seokjin just wanted to make his family proud. September 15, year 20. Hosuk and Jimin were at the bus stop when Jimin ended up having a seizure. He was brought to the hospital. Hosuk wanted to stay by his side, but Jimin's mother turned him away. When Hosuk was about 6 or 7 years old, his mother brought him to a carnival and gave him a chocolate bar. She told him to close his eyes and count to 10. When he opened his eyes, she was gone. She abandoned him, and he ended up living in an orphanage for 10 years. Through this event, Hosuk developed narcolepsy, or at least that's what he says. Theory: Hosuk actually doesn't have narcolepsy, but a disorder called Munchausen syndrome. It's a mental disorder in which a person repeatedly or deliberately acts as if he or she has a physical or mental illness when he or she is not really sick. September 28, year 20. Jimin is still in the hospital, and today was a special day for him. He lied for the first time and told the doctors that he didn't remember a thing. When Jimin was about 8 years old, an incident at the flowering laboratorium scarred him for life. Ever since this incident, he began to have seizures, and his parents would keep bringing him to all these hospitals. He ended up transferring to 5 different schools because of this. Theory. Jimin witnessed a little kid's murder at the flowering arboretum. There was a 5-year-old kid whose last name was Choi. His father's company went bankrupt and men were chasing after him. The men must have brought him to the flowering arboretum and Jimin witnessed them killing him. Jimin ended up running away. Now this little kid named Choi is also linked to Seokjin. He was in the same class when 2 men tried to come in and take him. Seokjin saved the boy and brought him over to his house to hide, but then the men came over there. Seokjin's father let them in and stopped Seokjin from helping the boy. September 30, year 20. Jungkook would go to their secret hideout every day in hopes of one day seeing them all gathered together again. In the end, they didn't. It was just Hoseok and Jungkook. Jungkook relied on the boys a lot. His father left him when he was 7, so he lived with his mother, stepfather, and stepbrother. Now he would get abused by his stepbrother while his stepfather and mother just watched and did nothing. So his family were the boys, who were now falling apart. He was very close to Yoongi, and they were the ones who would always go to the hideout to play the piano together. Yoongi has always loved making music, but when he was about 15 years old, his house caught on fire with his mother still inside. She passed away. She was the reason why Yoongi started to play the piano, because she used to play it herself. Him and his father didn't have a good relationship, and it seems as if his father didn't want him to continue making music anymore. Theory. Yoongi's mom was the one who started the fire to commit suicide. Now the story goes on.